This summer, I got to Asia for the first time, visiting Japan for 2 weeks and visiting 14 parks and riding 56 new roller coasters. Before I left, I did a pre-rank, predicting where these coasters would end up on my final list. And now that it's all said and done, let's see how these coasters stacked up to my expectations. These are my 20 favorite coasters in Japan. First, I want to talk about the 4 coasters I had on my pre-ranked list I didn't get to ride. Regina 2 at Tobu Zoo. I had this ranked number 12. This monster intimate wooden coaster that looks like it has a ton of airtime. 121 feet tall, 4,400 feet of track. It was just renovated in 2023, so it should be running well. But when I got to Tobu Zoo, I found this coaster was down for the whole summer. I mean, Tobu Zoo wasn't the greatest park to begin with, but having one of your big rides down like this during peak season, that hurts. Surf Coaster Leviathan at Sea Paradise. I had this ranked number 13, and I put this on the list based on my original itinerary. That was revised and Sea Paradise was axed. I could have taken the train from Tokyo to ride it, and based on what I've seen, it would have been worth a 4-hour round trip, even though this is their only coaster. This is a long togo that goes out into the water, some big helices, some sharp airtime moments. It would have been tough to make time for it, and we decided not to. Panic Coaster Back-Dan at Tokyo Dome City. This Gerstlauer was ranked number 17, an intriguing family-style coaster with a launch, forward and backward sections, all enclosed. But we never made it to Tokyo Dome City, and that was for one reason and one reason only. Thunder Dolphin was down for extended maintenance, and that was my number 6 coaster. This intimate mega coaster has a great setting, rising up 262 feet, 81 miles an hour, wrapping around and through buildings, 3,500 feet long. I was looking forward to riding this icon, but it just wasn't my time. I also want to point out 2 coasters that were in my pre-trip top 20, but didn't make my final top 20. One was Gekion Live Coaster. I had this at number 20, and we had to battle to get on this thing. We even got evac'd on our first try, and in the end, it was a fun ride. I'm glad we got to ride it, but it missed my top 20 and landed at 24. The other coaster was Venus GP at Himeji Central Park, number 16 on my list, the very first Mauer. And I thought it was going to be forceful and fun, and it was kind of dull and had bad restraints, so it was a disappointment. I ended up putting it at number 23. Okay, onto the official list. Number 20, Diavolo at Himeji Central Park. I didn't have this ranked. It was a Batman clone. You ride one, you ride them all, but this one really stood out as being extra good. I got row 3, so nothing special there, but this was super intense, very, very smooth, and you wouldn't expect that by looking at it. It's got a rustic look. Not sure if that's theming or if it's just run down, but I can't complain about maintenance. It's running great and it's the best ride in the park. Number 19, Looping Star at Nagashima Spaland. Another coaster that wasn't ranked. It's a clone of Silver Bullet at Frontier City, but this Schwarzkopf Looping Star was super enjoyable. We were towards the back. It was very fast paced and super smooth. Not quite as forceful as Silver Bullet, but it was running amazing and it glided through that course. Number 18, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad at Tokyo Disneyland. Also unranked going in. I have always been a fan of the Big Thunder Mountain coasters and this was no different. It's a super long ride, having 3 lift hills. It has amazing capacity as you would expect at a Disney park. It makes great use of theming. And yeah, it was a classic Big Thunder Mountain coaster, and luckily these are all good. Number 17, Grand Montserrat at Parque España. I wasn't expecting much out of this Mock Rides Mine Train coaster. It looks like a family coaster, but I was intrigued by it having 2 lift hills. This is 72 feet tall, which should have been my first clue, and this gets insanely intense at the bottom of both those drops. It only goes 41 miles an hour, but it's tight and compact, and this seemingly innocent coaster really rips your head off. It's also got nice wide trains and runs very smooth, so this was impressive. Number 16, Pink Typhoon Standing Coaster at Brazilian Park, Washington Highland. Another coaster not ranked. I didn't expect to like this Togo. One train backwards as you sit down, the other train runs forward as you stand up. I did the backwards train first, got the front, which is really the back, and this had some great stomach-dropping experiences, especially that loop. Also, it had some great airtime. It just didn't have any leg space, so I was afraid I was going to hurt myself. Then, I rode the stand-up train, got near the back again, and this felt a lot like Pipeline, the seat moving up and down, and that helix really crushes your legs down. This was a trippy, albeit uncomfortable experience, but I walked away very satisfied. Number 15, Shuttle Loop at Nagashima Spaland. Yet another unranked coaster. This brought me back to my first looping coaster, the classic Montezuma's Revenge at Knott's Berry Farm. That flywheel launch getting you up to 57 miles an hour, a loop forward and backwards, 2 spikes at 138 feet. I got the back row, and this was as good and punchy as Montezuma, and that's great. We don't have anything like this in America anymore. Number 14. Ultra Twister at Nagashima Spa Land and Brazilian Park, Washington Highland. I was so looking forward to riding these, and I had these ranked number 19 and number 18 on my list, so they exceeded my expectations. I thought they may be gimmicky, but they had great drops, real airtime, and then they whip you into those inversions, especially the first one. The last two have the added element of going backwards. The one at Nagashima had a really harsh breaker on the switch track. The one at Brazilian Park wasn't as bad, but that thing was super rusty and gross. After all these years, it was really cool to ride not just one, but two of these. Number 13. Minecart Madness at Universal Studios Japan. I love my two rides on this at Epic Universe, so I put this number 14 on my list. This about lived up to what I expected, even though I didn't enjoy this one quite as much as the one in Florida. This seemed a little more painful and jerky, but it was still fine. I love all the tricks it pulls. It's a one-of-a-kind experience, even though it's not a one-of-a-kind coaster anymore, riding that bottom rail and using the top track just for show. You can't go wrong with Minecart Madness. Just watch out for that wait time and consider using the single rider. Number 12. Zocon at Fuji-Q Highland. This was my highest unranked coaster. I was expecting something family-friendly from this Intamin launch coaster, maybe something like Wavebreaker, and it was kind of mild, but it was very dynamic. It has a great soundtrack, forward and backward sections, good launches, low-to-the-ground turns, and it reminded me more of Hagrid's than Wavebreaker, and that's a very good thing. This also serves a purpose as Fuji-Q's only intermediate coaster, and I enjoyed it. Maybe not as much as some people, but it was good. Number 11. Acrobat at Nagashima Spa Land. Coming in ranked number 15, this lands 4 spots higher. It was about what I expected, being a clone of Manta at SeaWorld. For my money, the best flyer in the US, and it wasn't quite as good just because it didn't have the same setting. Still, it had the great layout, it had the great water effects, it was running amazing, so smooth, had some power in the pretzel loop. This ride is kinda hard to find at Nagashima, but it should not be overlooked. Number 10. Hollywood Dream the Ride at Universal Studios Japan. This is the tale of two coasters, one facing forward and one facing backward. I don't count this as 2 credits, but the backwards train, the ride they call Backdrop, was very good. That backwards airtime hit very hard. There's intensity in that helix. You have on-ride audio for a song you can pick. The forwards ride more confirmed what I was afraid of. It was kinda weak. I didn't know where to rank this before I left, so I put it at number 11. And between the forward and backwards rides, I rank it as a composite, and it ends up at number 10. Number 9. Kawasemi at Tobu Zoo. I had this at number 7, and it wasn't quite that high, but I had no problems with this ride. It was my 700th coaster, and it was running great. This Megalite being the same ride as my 600th coaster, Piraten at Jure Summerland. I rode that on a cold, rainy, gusty day, and I rode Kawasemi on a day that was so hot and humid I wanted to throw up. I got 3 rides, 2 in the front and 1 in the back, and I found in the front the first half was great and the second half wasn't, and in the back it was the opposite. In the end, it was a good option for the 700 milestone, good airtime and fast-paced. Number 8. Pyrenees at Parque España. I heard great things about this custom B&M invert, and I had this at number 9 going in. I got 2 rides, and it proved to be worth the hype. It's 148 feet tall, over 4,000 feet of track, 6 inversions, and so crazy whippy in the first half. That Cobra roll really snaps, and the ride runs very well. It did give me a bit of a headache on the first ride, row 6 left side, but I was dehydrated. I took care of that, got an inner seat back row ride later, and that solidified its status as a top tier invert. Definitely worth your time to get to Parque España, and that park as a whole was amazing. So much more than just rides. Number 7. Steel Dragon 2000 at Nagashima Spa Land. Coming in, I had this top 5, but it slipped a little bit, even though I would say it exceeded my expectations. It was once the world's tallest coaster at 318 feet, is currently the world's longest coaster at over 8,100 feet, and it's a Morgan Giga. It doesn't get the best reviews. Based on my experience on their hypers, I could see why, and it did run a little bit like a mine train at first, but that finale hit really hard. I was flying out of my seat on every hill, and that saved the ride. It also ran kinda rough. Those B&M trains are very comfortable, but maybe there's a mismatch on the Morgan track. But still, it wasn't that bad. It's a very good ride, just not a great one. Number 6. Takabisha at Fuji-Q Highland. I had this all the way in my top 3 going in. After riding Shellraiser at Nickelodeon Universe, I thought this could be even better. This Gerstlauer Eurofighter is the original that Shellraiser is based off of, having 7 inversions, a powerful launch, and the world's steepest drop at 121 degrees. Shellraiser beat that out by 1/2 of 1 degree, so in reality, it's about the same. I love the forces and the elements, but the ride ran a little rough. I only got one ride and it was in the front, and it was definitely bumpy, a little bit headache inducing. The same issue Shellraiser has in the front row. I would have liked to try the back, but there was no time. Number 5. Flying Dinosaur at Universal Studios Japan. I had this at number 8, not being the biggest fan of flying coasters, but Flying Dinosaur is a different beast. It starts with a 125-foot drop straight down, into a totally jacked up inline twist to an inside Raven turn inversion, backed up by a pretzel loop. Throws in an airtime hill, helix, and 2 inline twists. By the time you hit the brakes, you're just floored. This is so intense and so amazing, and it shot to the top of my flyer list, and it's not that close. You're wondering if B&M really designed this, but they've been known to get a bit crazy with their flyers. Number 4. Bandit at Yamuriland. This was totally a wild card. I had this at number 10 going in, and coming out, it lands in the final 4. This giant Togo is so weird. It's 167 feet tall, but has 256 feet of elevation change. That makes this ride a runaway freight train, just building speed the whole time, throwing in airtime and janky transitions, not to mention the water effects. If you want, you can ride this and get whacked by water. This ride is just hilarious. Almost a mile of random elements. Intense, jarring, floaty. Bandit has it all, and this ride should not be underestimated or missed. Number 3. Fujiyama at Fuji-Q Highland. Speaking of monster Togos, I had high expectations for this, putting it at number 4, but I was still afraid the ride was going to suck. In the end, it did not suck. Well, it kinda did, but it sucked in the best possible way. 259 feet tall, 6,700 feet of track. Yes, 6,700. That makes it one of the world's longest coasters. So many weird angles, not just in the shallow drops, but on the way the track enters those elements. Those transitions at 81 miles an hour is just bonkers. And if the first 6,000 feet wasn't weird enough, it hits that finale and you're flying out of your seat sideways. Left and right, left and right. It leaves you gasping for air at the end. I said, it's so bad it's good. A real paradox of a coaster, but top 50 worthy. Number 2. Aijunaika Fuji-Q Highland. I put this at number 2 and it lands at number 2, but it didn't go quite as I expected. This monster SNS 4th Dimension coaster is a bigger, badder version of X2. A ride so violent it popped my neck on the 0G roll. It has no dead spots. It seems to only pick up speed as you go along. 3,800 feet of track and 3 inversions, all while rotating on your own axis. That final Raven turn and twist into the final brakes taken at a stupid speed. The train throwing you face first backwards into the final brakes. You blink and this ride's over, but it's definitely the most insane coaster in the world. If you love intensity and a sense of danger, this will be your number 1 coaster, but I love airtime more, so I had to put this at number 2. Number 1. Hakuge at Nagashima Spa Land. I had this number 1 pre-trip and it delivered. I heard great things about this RMC hybrid, standing 180 feet tall, 5,000 feet long, 3 inversions, and after my first ride, I was so happy it lived up to the hype. Aside from one dead moment in the middle, the rest was taken at a breakneck speed. So much ejector airtime, so much whip, such a long ride. This RMC is the real deal, and I put this in my overall top 10. I also noticed the ride is elite all over the train. You don't have to ride the back row to have a good time. The experience didn't change that much from any of my 3 rides, getting front, middle, and back. Best coaster in the park, best coaster in the country, could even be the best coaster on the continent. Hakuge was great in every way. That's a wrap on my favorite Japanese coasters. Let me know what you think of my list, where I'm on point, where I'm crazy, any other thoughts, sound off in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like, and if you're new here and love coasters, please give me a sub. I want to thank my Patreons. If you want bonus access, bonus content, and have your name listed at the end of each video, check my links below and join. Also, check out my second channel, where I post copyright-free off-ride footage. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.